Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, author of the book, The Charismatic Edge, and creator of the online Charisma Training Academy, and creator of online time mastery, and creator of the new course. It might not be new when you see this, but hopefully it will be, which is Influence Mastery. Coming up soon. Lots of information on that. Anyway, this is part of the Sarcastic Series, and in this particular video, I want to share with you how to have a miserable Christmas. A lot of people, they tend to be focused on, well, how to embrace things and how to have a great Christmas. I want to really touch on the most important points that you need to know to have a terrible Christmas. What are the things you need to remember, the things you need to do to make sure your Christmas is the worst ever? Step one, argue with your family. Pick fights with your family, just random ones. I mean, that's what Christmas is about. Christmas is about getting together with your loved ones and fighting continuously. The more that you can fight with your family, the more you can argue, the more you can have problems, the better it is. So make sure that you argue with at least every family member at least once. Argue about really small things and get really agitated and angry about small things. It's a really good idea. The second thing will help you with the first, which is open all wounds. You know, a lot of times people have arguments and then they overcome them and then everything's grand. But if you go back to really old wounds, things that like were problems a few years ago, and you start picking fights with people about problems from the past that they can't do anything about, that's really the true art of someone who's great at, you know, starting fights, is that you don't just fight about in the present, you fight about the past, because there's so much resources that you can find in the past, so many things to fight about, so many things to argue about, so many wounds to open, especially things that people are touchy of. I mean, they're the real, they're the nugget, they're the gold, they're the diamonds. Find the old wounds, open them, and really start to go on like that. Third step is look annoyed with your present. Whenever you get a present, look annoyed, look pissed off. Like, oh. No matter what you get, even if it's like a great present, you know, because when you, that immediately makes them feel bad, which in turn may help you to do the argument later, may even connect with an old wound where they feel, but worst case scenario, you just piss them off in the moment. And you know, you've kind of dampened their Christmas, which is really great, because the more damp their Christmas is, the more damp your Christmas is. So again, look disappointed when you get a present. You can also do an advanced form of this, where you look like, instead of like just looking pissed off, you look like really disappointed. So instead of going, oh, instead you can go, oh. Like that. It really, really works, because immediately they look at your body language and you're like pretending not to be disappointed, but you really are, and you're doing a terrible job pretending not to. And so they see that you're disappointed and they feel even worse. So that's really, really useful as well. Next is what I call the Humbug Formula. The Humbug Formula is simply a formula where you use the strategy that Scrooge used, at least at the start of the movie, before it became, you know, different. But it's basically bah humbug. So no matter what happens, you complain about everything. If you're listening, there's a show in Ireland called The Joe Duffy Show. If you listen to that, that really helps motivate you and teach you how to do it, because people ring up there and they always complain and whine. But basically, you look around for things to complain about, and you do. And wherever you are on Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Stephen's Day, you just, or Boxing Day, or whatever you call the day after Christmas, wherever you are, complain about it non-stop, non-stop, non-stop. You look for everything to complain about. There's a great video I have on the Sarcastic Series, how to become more effective at moaning, or you know, how to moan like a legend, or how to whine more effectively, or whatever. That's a good video to practice this, but just whine. Everything's like bah humbug, and how Christmas is horrible. Use the word materialistic with Christmas as often as you can, because that kind of puts a little bit of a negative spin on it, which is really, really good for having a miserable Christmas. As well as that though, you want to always make sure that you take advantage of one easy thing to complain about, which is the weather. When it's outside, generally it's cold. We accept that because it's winter, it's cold. And if it's cold, brilliant, because you can complain about the cold. But then you also have an advantage, because when you go from the cold to the warmth, a lot of times it's really warm, and you can go, oh, it's so warm in here. So you can complain about the warm and the cold. And it's really difficult to get a normal temperature in Christmas. So therefore you can complain about the cold, you can complain about the warm, and therefore you kind of two parts covered. If you add that to the other complaints and the whines and the moans, that happen, you really put yourself in a great position. Last but not least, drink too much. The more you drink, the stupider you become. The more that you say things that you don't mean, the more you get aggressive probably, the more you fall asleep when people are talking to you, the more you become nasty. Drinking too much is a wonderful way of ensuring that you have fights. It allows you to open all wounds. It allows you to be really rude about your presence. It allows you to be a real humbug. It allows you to complain about the warm and the cold because it makes you feel especially cold and especially warm. So again, drinking too much will really make sure that you have a miserable Christmas. So again, all of those things are great ideas on how to have a miserable Christmas. Now, some people will tell you, right, because they want to help you have a good Christmas, they'll say, appreciate your family, spend time making the members of your family feel good, feel grateful for them being around, and feel lucky that they're around, and treat them like wonderfully, and have a great time with them, spend quality time with them, where you remember it's not about turkey in the oven, it's not about Christmas trees or decorations, it's about spending wonderful time with the loved ones that you're lucky enough to have in your life. They'll say, move on from the past and just build a bright present and a wonderful future, and enjoy embracing each other and remembering the fun times from the past and reminding yourself of them. They'll say, appreciate and embrace the presents you get, and appreciate the thought that went into them and the fact that the people care about you enough to buy you presents and not get caught in the materialistic aspect of it, but instead to enjoy it. People will tell you to start to embrace what's great about Christmas and look around at the Christmas spirit and how lucky we all are to have Christmas and to have that beautiful feeling. People will tell you to make sure that if you're going out into the cold, dress up warm, and if you're in the warm, then take off. Don't take off all your clothes because that'd be weird, especially with your family. But wear your T-shirt if it's really, really warm. If you're beside the fire, real simple stuff. It doesn't take that much effort to get cold when you're warm and warm when you're cold, but certainly complaining about it won't help. And then drink in moderation, or don't drink, but drink in moderation if you're going to drink, and make sure that you're enjoying yourself and fully conscious and you're having the best day possible. Anyway, they will tell you that. I don't believe it. I think if you want to have a miserable Christmas, you need to follow the steps that I outlined in this video. So I wish you a very happy Christmas, a very miserable Christmas, and a pathetic New Year. And I hope that you go into the crap New Year after having a terrible Christmas and have the worst kind of 2015 possible. I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. Go out into the world, make an impact, let it impact you, be a legend in your own lunchbox.